to our program, and they took our flyer. If you followed it up, you'll see they put our flyer on their program, Steve Emerson them, almost word for word what we wrote. Because for their people, that's horrible what I'm saying. But if 25% of their readers and listeners are Muslims, then we're doing dawah to the Muslims, right? Yeah, we're doing dawah to the Muslims. So what happened was, hey man, they put our stuff on just like we said it. And we said, alhamdulillah. I said, that's just like going up to the police, hey man, take your pistol out, put it up to your head and blow your brains out. And he do it, right? That's why after Sean Hannity, you never heard anything else from the Zionists about us. They said, for a few years, they was putting us everywhere because they was going to try to do us like they did the National Negro. But remember, he's phony and we're not. And when they did him, they did me like they did him. Vice versa, he got to playing, remember the violin? Mendelssohn, do you remember that?
I remember it.
Mendelssohn.
Right.
Mendelssohn is a Jew that became a Christian.
Right.
And Mendelssohn, the great,
Farrakhan is a violin player.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
well, let's use the word national Negro. That's okay, that's okay. We'll get to it in a while. The national Negro, imagine as tough as he's supposed to be. Oh my God, oh. Next thing, the Zionist is on his case and he's telling everybody, I've never felt so depressed and oppressed in my life. Just because they said that? Shoot. So he's hired to say that, to show the people that if I'm a big Negro and I'm scared of them, you gotta be, hey, he said, I don't know what they're talking about. Y'all must be crazy. So he's out there playing Mendelssohn to show them how he's come around. No. And when you meet them face to face, you don't have to worry about them no more. They're gonna get quiet on you. That's why you haven't heard nothing in the press. And all them programs that I was on, like I was on RT all the time, or everybody else. What's wrong with that? They couldn't stand it. That means the Zionist influence is insinuated in everything and everybody. And RT was the people that, coming here all the time, answering all of them. What we learned here is the whole process of how things are arranged and prearranged. And when they want experts on shows, we've lived through the period to see when they were younger, when they were placed in there, and how they were brought up and placed in that position. We've seen that whole process with everybody. So, look, this thing about longevity, we anticipated all of this because we had that game, we had the outline of the game way back then. Okay, so now, expectation. I don't want to go through this whole stuff about expectation. But did I ever tell you the story about the 12 rats that they placed in, you've heard that before?
You said the
12. Well, okay, since you haven't heard it, I'll tell you. Okay, no, this is a study.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
It's on hope and expectation. The one, I'm going to tell you two of the studies. One was done in Oakland in 1968, and it was by a Jewish fellow. and it was on students and expectation. And they took a whole group of students, and they didn't tell the students nothing, they just selected the students. And then they took the teachers and they selected a group of teachers. Now these students were just randomly selected. And they took these group of teachers and they told them that we have given you the best students in the Oakland Unified School District. And this study comes from researching your records, and we find that you have the most adaptability, the ability to draw the best out of the students and everything. And so we're placing you two together. And at the end of the cycle, the average progress was 3 years per student in 1 year. And so when they gave the teachers the results, they said, well, you gave us the best students. So they said, no, we didn't give you the best students, we chose their name out of a hat. They said, well, it was us, we're the best teachers. They said, no, we chose your name out of a hat too. What was the variable? The only variable was the expectation that the teacher had of the student. The student don't know anything about this, about the experiment. So the student might have been dumb as the word well, some of them had to be dumb if they was from Oakland, they was African American too, and they had to be, hey man, they had to be low levels of reading, comprehension. It had to be some of them in there. But they progressed 3 years. Why? Because the teacher would say, that person, they gave me the best students, and that person can learn this. I just have to find a way to bring it out of them. Or I have it in myself. I'm one of the best teachers. I can do this. You know what I mean? So the expectation that the teacher had of the student was the only variable. They progressed 3 years. That's the deal with expectation. When you're expected to succeed, and people treat you like that, it has an effect on you.
That's right.
Just like Harvard, Yale, and all them places, they treat those students like, we expect you to be Supreme Court justices. We expect you to be such and such. When they come out, they expect it of themselves. They just expect it, right? Because the system breeds that expectation into them. Okay. The other was what I was telling you about the rats. You know, the white man always, when he wanted to study us, he studied rats. Like the rat that get the shot of cocaine, and he pushed the button till he died. You know, hey man, he don't eat no food. Bam, boy, that's good. And he do it, hey man, he be looking like the Negro look. And that's the way until he died. He died on the spot. Okay, they took 12 rats, about the same size, same age, same species. And they separated them into 2 groups, 6 in one group, 6 in another. And they took one group and they put them in the water, and they swam around for an average of 52 minutes and died. I mean, they gave up. Now, the other rats, the same size, same species, they put them in the water. And at 47 minutes, 5 minutes before they probably gonna just call it a day, they take them out of the water. They feed they feed them and dry them off and everything, right? Then they put them back in the water. They swam around then for an average of 37 hours before they gave up. Why would they do that? Expectation. They remembered, the other ones didn't have no hope or expectation. They put them in the water, they swam around, they said, well, I'm going to give up the ghost. I'm tired, it's all over, right? But the other ones, at 47 minutes, just before they was, on average, by the clock, ready to give up, 5 more minutes later, they're going to say, hey man, that's it for the brother. They took them out of the water, fed them, rested them up, and then put them back in the water. Why would they swim around 37 hours when the other ones last 52 minutes on average? It's because they had hope. They said, well, man, last time I was getting ready to give up, big old creature snatched me up, took me out of the water, dried me off, boy, I was laying back, taking it easy, and then he dumped me back in the water. Every time he got tired, he remembered that. So he's waiting to be picked out of the water again. He have expectation, he have hope, right? That something is going to happen. Now, if that can happen with animals, with rats, what about the human being? I studied and read all this stuff. All this little punk stuff they've been doing to me for 40, 50 years don't mean nothing. It means something to everybody else. They last, on an average, and I studied, 5 years maximum movement. You know, people don't think about it. They're trying to do good, and everything they do, they tie up something and it's nice, and then somebody, when they turn their head, they pull it loose, and the whole thing crumbles. Right? How many people are going to do that over and over and over and over again? Unless they expect it, unless they thrive on it. Say, yeah, man, I can't wait till I put this together, then the boss man gonna come, soon as I go have a little breakfast, he gonna untie. You train yourself to like it. You gotta remember, where we're going, during this period, during our time, this is not the time of Martin Luther King, then where you getting into Vietnam, that's white folks' business. Remember when we was kids, they had white folks' business and nigger business? Civil rights, that's okay. That's nigger business, right? Why I oppose war in Vietnam? You remember what Martin Luther King's people, all the Negroes with him, they almost left him by himself. Just by opposing, that's white folks' business, man. They're gonna take off all the programs, boss man that passed for us. We're gonna lose all of that talking about Vietnam, right? King was devastated. He was devastated because of this white folks' business. Now imagine us. We in global white folks' business. And we're more accurate than anybody in the world. Consistently. Think about it now, like, okay, scholar so-and-so, he was right 4 or 5 times. But the news commentators are specialists, right? The people on C-SPAN and the analyzers, they're not right anything like, or they don't have a correct analysis or how to use it. If they're 30% accurate, they're doing good. If they're right 30% of the time, they're doing real good. Well, 300, if they batting 300, they're doing good. But none of them are batting 950. Nobody's batting 950 but us. What I'm saying is,
any pressure.
huh?
They're not getting any pressure.
Yeah, there's that
They're
too.
just allowed to talk. They're
Right.
not getting any pushback.
Right.
You know,
That's
any
the reason.
serious pushback.
That is exactly the reason. The reason Mellow Yellow now, the New York Imams and all of them, they don't put themselves in a position to get challenged, right? They're not going to do it. That's what they're trying to avoid. It's like, my friends don't understand in California, man, that stuff gets you put in jail. I said, yeah, they don't understand that because in the game that we was in, you're trying to avoid the police. You don't want to go to jail. We thrive on the police. You know, we thrive on the police because the more contact you have, the stronger, the more you got to lift the weight, the stronger you're going to get. It's automatic. Okay. That's one of the, not secrets, but that's one of the tools that we have used all along, that we knew from the beginning after all our research, that when we get into this, hey, number one, ain't nobody gonna run a ride with you, because I asked all my friends, I say, y'all wanna ride with me on this or this? No, indeed. The other one that had a lot of money and stuff, like, yeah, man, you got that thing, and yeah, we wanna make that move. But this one here, y'all wanna ride on this? No, man. No, I mean, where you're going out, you're searching for the police, you're looking for the system, you're looking for confrontation until you begin to manage it and dominate it. Pretty soon, what do we say? We domesticate the system. The system is domesticated. It don't make no difference. When you manage the flow, you are having an influence. When you have, imagine the average person, if they can control 10, 15% of their life, they're happy. Because their job and their rent and all that controls what they do, right? Suppose you can manage under these conditions 40, 50, 60, even higher percent of your, what's happening with you. That's a miracle. It's not only a miracle, it's a part of the mission. And that's what I wanted to drift toward. Today, we always talking about rewrite our story, or write your own history. Well, say, right around here, remember those phases that we all went through? Well, just visualize this is a center of activity. Visualize this in the house next door is the beginning stages of GHQ, General Headquarters, for the first stage of our development, and this right here, being a world-class organization. That means here, we're going to have writers, editors, propagandists, right? Managers, all kind of job descriptions, you know what I mean? Right here, that's what we're going to do right here. We already have the place. We use the bookstore, we use downstairs, we use the little thing that we never used out there, all that. So, but now imagine that full of people is doing a specific job that we will influence, that we will teach, that we will train, okay? And no matter who they are, the job description will demand that they have to do the things on that job. It don't make a difference whether they're a government agent or whether they don't make, because this is your job description, right? And they have to do their job, or they should do their job, right? Okay, that means that technically we don't care who they are. We don't care who they are. Job description. Right? Now, in order to do that, you have to have a certain mentality. You can't be paranoid, you can't be oversensitive. And we tricked them like that. We put in our stuff that 10 years ago, we're going to have to watch each other. We're going to have to, and Mukhtar wrote it in his own other thing. Did, what about, you said this, that, and other. Yes, I said it. Because a boss man would think that's the way I'd be thinking based on what's going on. What he doing? He don't run nothing. We realized decades ago that it ain't gonna get there by hatred. You're not going to just sit around and develop a movement that is whatever movements are supposed to be. They're gonna put people, you can't not do that, they're gonna put them there. So when we put people there, our feeling is if we get 25% of the people that's on our side, we are happy with that. Happy with it. That's fine. I mean, that don't exist nowhere. You know what I mean? It don't exist in the United States. The proof of it is what we always say. All these groups, why they act the way they do. Everybody voting. Why are you voting? Because we want Don so bad, and he's lying all, of course he's lying, that's his job to lie. But then Biden, you know what I mean, he's a good man, his poor boy died, cancer, he's a good fellow. So that they can be crazy as they want. Nobody is saying anything. Did anybody see the poor governor of California, Newsom, the other day, with all them fires burning in California? The man was almost crying.
I missed it.
It was
I hear about it.
see if you can pull up
Yeah, I'm
Governor
gonna try.
Newsom on the fire. This Governor Newsom, California.
3 million acres.
Huh?
It's 3 million acres that burned to
That's
California.
right. 3 million. You got to be able to count.
And the
3
Midwest is burning too.
and
The Midwest burning right now.
Look, this stuff we talked about in Juma, the evergreen state. That's Washington State. Washington apples. You ever see on the book the box of big red apples? All